Hello, this is Miss Schneeberger. For those of you that were not in class this week to get the rest of the lessons, I wanted to go through these personally with you, so that you definitely had some sort of ending to the novel, even though we're on a shortened week. So this is Mango 10. Explore the practice of visualization, and in this section, we will read the stories Red Clowns, Linoleum Roses, The Three Sisters, Alicia and I talking on Edna's steps, A House of My Own, and Mango Says Goodbye Sometimes. So that will be the finale to our book. All right, so we're going to start our reading today with the story Red Clowns. Now, Red Clowns is going to require a fair amount of maturity because there's some heavy things that happen in this story. I will stop and I will explain that at the end of the story so that you know exactly what's going on, or as well as we do. But this is one of those stories that's definitely going to need a little bit more maturity. Red Clowns. Sally, you lied. It wasn't what you said at all. What he did, where he touched me. I didn't want it, Sally. The way they said it, the way it's supposed to be, all the storybooks and movies. Why did you lie to me? I was waiting by the red clowns. I was standing by the tilt-a-whirl where you said. And anyway, I don't like carnivals. I went to be with you because you laugh on the tilt-a-whirl, and you throw your head back and laugh. I hold your change, wave, count how many times you go by. Those boys that look at you because you're pretty? I like to be with you, Sally. You're my friend. But that big boy, where did he take you? I waited such a long time. I waited by the red clowns, just like you said, but you never came. You never came for me. Sally, Sally, 100 times. Why didn't you hear me when I called? Why didn't you tell them to leave me alone? The one who grabbed me by the arm, he wouldn't let me go. He said, I love you, Spanish girl, I love you, and pressed his sour mouth to mine. Sally, make him stop. I couldn't make them go away. I couldn't do anything but cry. I don't remember. It was dark. I don't remember. I don't remember. Please don't make me tell it all. Why did you leave me all alone? I waited my whole life. You're a liar. They all lied. All the books and the magazines and everything that told it wrong. Only his dirty fingernails against my skin. Only his sour smell again. The moon that watched. The tilt-a-whirl, the red clowns laughing, their thick tongue laugh. Then the colors began to whirl. Sky-tipped, their high black gym shoes ran. Sally, you lied. You lied. He wouldn't let me go. He said, I love you. I love you, Spanish girl. So in this story, we definitely have some sort of idea of some kind of assault happening. To what extent, we are not sure. But there was definitely some unwanted physical or sexual assault of some kind going on with Esperanza. The idea that she goes to this carnival. She goes because she wants to be with her friend Sally, who we have already seen a couple of times. We read about Sally last time. Um, Sally goes off with the boys and is not really a friend to Esperanza anymore. And Esperanza wants to go to this carnival with her, but, Sally basically just goes on all the rides and has Esperanza hold her things for her. And then when she feels like it, she runs off with, some boy and leaves Esperanza on her own. And then she gets attacked by a group of boys. To what extent, like I said, we're not sure, but it was definitely unwanted attention, that she even states specifically, please don't make me tell you. Later she says it, that she doesn't, I don't remember, please don't make me tell it all. So it's clearly something that has traumatized her, and something that is not what she imagined attention from boys would be like in any way, shape, or form. For her first experience in this type of situation, it's a very, very bad one and a very traumatic experience for her. Linoleum Roses. Sally got married like we knew she would. Young and not ready, but married just the same. She met a marshmallow salesman at a school bazaar and she married him in another state where it's legal to get married before eighth grade. She has her husband and her house now, her pillowcases and her plates. She says she is in love, but I think she did it to escape. Sally says she likes being married because now she gets to buy her own things when her husband gives her money. She is happy, except sometimes her husband gets angry, and once he broke the door where his foot went through, though most days he's okay. Except he won't let her talk on the telephone, and he doesn't let her look out the window, and he doesn't like her friends, so nobody gets to visit her unless he is working. She sits at home because she is afraid to go outside without his permission. She looks at all the things they own, the towels, the toasters, the alarm clock, and the drapes. She likes looking at the walls, at how neatly their corners meet, the linoleum roses on the floor, the ceiling smooth as wedding cake. So in this one, we find out Sally, who is not quite in eighth grade yet, so about 12 years old, is able to run off and marry this older man because they go to a state where it's legal to get married before eighth grade. Now, keep in mind, this book takes place in the 60s, so legal age of consent laws and things like that back then were probably a lot different than we have now. Now, this would most likely be unheard of in pretty much most places, or if not every place. So Esperanza says, I think she did it to escape. So if you remember, Sally is abused at home. Her father holds such a tight rein on her that, he doesn't want her to run away. And he's so hard on her and so dominant in the household that she does exactly what he doesn't want her to do. She runs away to escape him and she gets married and she has all of these wonderful pretty things and her husband gives her money, but she's essentially just married someone who is just like her husband. When he gets angry, he lashes out, he breaks the door, things like that. So even though she has all these wonderful things that she can buy and he gives her money to buy these things, she can't do anything with them because she has absolutely no freedom whatsoever. All right, the three sisters. They came with the wind that blows in August, thin as a spider web and barely noticed. Three who did not seem to be related to anything but the moon. One with laughter like tin, and one with eyes of a cat, and one with hands like porcelain. The aunts, the three sisters, los camarares, they said. The baby died, Lucy and Rachel's sister. One night a dog cried, and the next day a yellow bird flew in through an open window. Before the week was over, the baby's fever was worse. Then Jesus came and took the baby with him far away. That's what their mother said. Then the visitors came, in and out of the little house. It was hard to keep the floors clean. Anybody who had ever wondered what color the walls were came and came to look at the little thumb of a human in a box like candy. I had never seen the dead before, not for real, not in somebody's living room for people to kiss and bless themselves and light a candle for, not in a house. It seemed strange. They must have known the sisters. They had the power and could sense what was what. They said, "Come here," and give me a stick of gum. They smelled like Kleenex or the inside of a satin handbag, and then I didn't feel afraid. "What's your name?" the cat-eyed one asked. "Esperanza," I said. "Esperanza," the old blue-veined one repeated in a high, thin voice. "Esperanza. A good name." My knees hurt. The one with the funny laugh complained. "Tomorrow it will rain." "Yes, tomorrow," they said. "How do you know?" I asked. "We know." "Look at her hands," Cat-Eye said. And they turned them over and over as if they were looking for something. "She is special. She'll go very far." "Yes, yes. Make a wish." "A wish?" "Yes, make a wish. What do you want?" "Anything?" I asked. "Well, why not?" I closed my eyes. Did you wish already?" "Yes," I said. "Well, that's all there is to it. It'll come true." "How do you know?" I asked. "We know. We know." Esperanza, the one with the marbled hands, called me aside. Esperanza. She held my face with her blue-veined hands and looked at me. A long silence. When you leave, you must remember always to come back, she said. What? When you leave, you must remember to come back for the others. A circle, understand? You will always be Esperanza. You will always be Mango Street. You can't erase what you know. You can't forget who you are. Then I didn't know what to say. It was as if she could read my mind, as if she knew what I had wished for, and I felt ashamed for having made such a selfish wish. You must remember to come back, for the ones who cannot leave as easily as you. You will remember? She asked, as if she were telling me. Yes, yes, I said, a little confused. Good, she said, rubbing my hands. Good. That's all. You can go. I got up to join Lucy and Rachel, who were already outside waiting by the door, wondering what I was doing, talking to three old ladies who smelled like cinnamon. I didn't understand everything they had told me. I turned around. They smiled and waved in their smoky way. Then I didn't see them, not once or twice or ever again. So in this story, we find out that Lucy and Rachel have lost a baby sibling. So they're having a funeral at the house. And these three sisters come to the house, and they seem to be kind of like wise women or fortune tellers. And they, look at Esperanza's hands, they look at her palms, kind of like Elenita did. They see that she's special, and, they have her make a wish. And basically, it's almost as if they know what she wished out loud, because they say, you must come back for the people who can't leave. So what they mean is, when you are successful and you get out of this place, you have to come back for the other people who are still here. You have to lift their spirits. You have to make their lives better by showing them that you got out and you made something of yourself. So we still see that Esperanza wants to be something bigger than she has been so far, and she wants to be different than the other women who are around her at all times. She's constantly surrounded by these examples of women who are in very controlling relationships or don't have a lot of freedom. And she does not want to be like that. So she needs to move on and move out and find a better path in life. All right. Alicia and I talking on Edna's steps. If you remember, Alicia was the one who saw mice, the one who was also trying to get an education so she could have a better life than the one that she had. I like Alicia because once she gave me a little leather purse with the word Guadalajara stitched on it, which is a home for Alicia, and one day she will go back there. But today she is listening to my sadness because I don't have a house. You live right here. 4006 Mango, Alicia said, and points to the house I am ashamed of. No, this isn't my house, I say, and shake my head as if shaking could undo the year I've lived here. I don't belong. I don't ever want to come from here. You have a home, Alicia, and one day you'll go there, to a town you remember. But me, I never had a house, not even a photograph, only one I dream of. No, Alicia says, like it or not, you are Mango Street, and one day you'll come back too. Not me, not until somebody makes it better. Who's going to do it? The mayor? And the thought of the mayor coming to Mango Street makes me laugh out loud. Who's going to do it? Not the mayor. All right, so we get a little more insight also in this one, because the setting is a little sketchy and we don't always know. She says that she's only lived on Mango Street for a year. So this whole book takes place in the course of a year. So she's not much older than when she started. In the last one, they talked about Sally not being quite in 8th grade. So I'm assuming these kids are about in 7th grade, so maybe 12 years old. All right, and she probably hasn't aged much more than that. She might be 13 by this point, but not much further. And that idea that after a year, she still does not consider Mango Street home. And Alicia tells her, no, you're going to leave and you have to come back. So she says, who's going to make this place better? And if you go back to the story before it, the three wise women or three sisters tell Esperanza that she needs to come back for the ones who can't leave. So here's kind of that hint that Esperanza needs to be the one to come back to give people hope, to show that you can have a better life, and to prove that it's more than just being on Mango Street, that you can have better. All right. A house of my own. Not a flat, not an apartment in back, not a man's house, not a daddy's. A house all my own, with my porch and my pillow, my pretty purple petunias, my books and my stories, my shoes waiting beside the bed. Nobody to shake a stick at. Nobody's garage to pick up after. Only a house, quiet as snow, a space for myself to go, clean as paper, before the poem. All right. So once again, this is Esperanza's dream. All right. Not a man's house, meaning she doesn't want to move into some house that is a husband. She doesn't want to move into or stay in her father's house. She wants a house of her own. And remember, this is the 1960s, and for a woman to have a house of her own and have a life of her own, that was not something that most women did. So she has these, these high dreams of having this beautiful little house with her pretty purple petunias. That's an alliteration, by the way, and all of these things that she can make for herself, and make it exactly the way she wants it with nobody else to clean up after. And then our final story is Mango Says Goodbye Sometimes. I like to tell stories. I tell them inside my head. I tell them after the mailman says, "Here's your mail." "Here's your mail," he said. I make a story for my life. For each step my brown shoe takes, I say, "And so she trudged up the wooden stairs, her sad brown shoes taking her to the house she never liked." I like to tell stories. I'm going to tell you a story about a girl who didn't want to belong. We didn't always live on Mango Street. Before that, we lived on Loomis on the 3rd floor, and before that, we lived on Keeler. Before Keeler, it was Paulina. But what I remember most is Mango Street. Sad red house, the house I belong but do not belong to. I put it down on paper, and then the ghost does not ache so much. I write it down, and Mango says goodbye sometimes. She does not hold me with both arms. She sets me free. One day I will pack my bags of books and paper. One day I will say goodbye to Mango. I am too strong for her to keep me forever. One day I will go away. Friends and neighbors will say, "What happened to that Esperanza? Where did she go with all those books and paper? What did she march so far away? Or why did she march so far away?" They will not know. I have gone away to come back. For the ones I left behind. For the ones who cannot out. So she's finally kind of resigned to the fact that Mango Street is not going to hold on to her forever. And she writes these things down in her stories. And if you remember back to Aunt Lupe, the one from Born Bad, she said, "Keep writing, Esperanza. It will make you free." And as soon as Esperanza starts writing down her feelings about Mango Street and her stories on Mango Street, which is the book we are reading, even though this is a work of fiction, um, it frees her. It allows the house to set her free. So she even says, "She sets me free," meaning the house. So by writing it down on paper, that she's set free from the house, and that goes back to Lupe's statement of writing will make you free. All right. And she resigns to the fact that she's going to go away from this place, but she is not going to stay away. She's going to come back for her family and for the others who can't get out of Mango Street. So now if we come back to the PowerPoint, there's just some discussion questions to look at. So why does Esperanza think Sally got married? So that's when she says she thinks she got married to escape her father. We talked about that. What does Sally do all day in Linoleum Roses? Well, she kind of sits around the house looking at the things that she owns, but she has no freedom. We talked about number 3. What did the 3 sisters tell Esperanza? How does Esperanza feel about Mango Street? We talked about that. And how does Esperanza describe the house she wants? We talked about that. And what does Esperanza say she likes to do? She likes to tell stories. So that is exactly what she has done in this particular book we are reading. Now, yes, this is a work of fiction, all right? And Esperanza is a fake narrator. However, this book is meant to serve almost as her memoir. So it's a memoir for a fictional character. So we are meant to understand that she left and she wrote her stories. So we have some visualization in this story. Personification, the moon watched. Okay, so the moon is not human, it can't watch anything. Sight imagery, then the colors began to whirl, sky tipped, their high black gym shoes ran. All right, so we've got some of that sight imagery and that visualization going on. So you're going to do the same thing on this assignment this week that we did last week, in that you are going to insert your own pictures. So let me pull up that document real quick. So if you pull up the document that is associated with this assignment, you will see something very similar to the story or to the assignment we did last week. So for Mango 10, you're going to read each example of imagery from the end of the book, visualize the scene and form a picture in your mind's eye, and then do an online search for images that capture what you imagine. Copy and paste the images that best illustrate the quote, and submit this document. So for example, the model says the red clowns laughing their thick tongue laugh. So the example picture that was in the mind when we read this and thought about it was this idea of these clowns from the carnival. So when she talks about waiting by the red clowns, she doesn't literally mean she was waiting, around a group of human clowns. She was probably waiting at some sort of ride or game that had red clowns attached to it. So that's the picture that was found. So you have 4 examples just like last week, all right? And when you go, you can Google search for whatever image comes up in your mind. If I were you, I would underline or highlight the part of the quote that you're using. That way we know exactly what you're looking at. So it says she likes looking at the walls at how neatly their corners, whatever the rest of this is, they meet. The linoleum roses on the floor, should say floor, and the ceiling smooth as wedding cake. So maybe you picture the flooring of linoleum roses. So linoleum is just the floor covering, the little plastic tiles that you typically find in kitchens and things like that. So maybe you want to find a floor that has roses on it, a picture of that, and then you just copy it from Google and you paste it right in here, and then you submit the assignment to us. All right. So that is it for this book. That is it for this assignment. Tomorrow's assignment will be to finish the multiple choice test that goes with this, and then you will be good to go for the rest of the novel, and we will start a new story and a new unit as soon as we come back from Thanksgiving break. All right, guys, have a great day. Message me if you have any questions or concerns.